Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. It sort of went as planned. So Kansas plays Duke in the second game. This was supposed to be the big Darren Peterson, Cam Boozer game. Unfortunately, Darren Peterson, as we all know, is hurt, as we all know, is not playing. Duke was a 10.5-point favorite in the Circa Sportsbook. We talked about it on yesterday's show. Is that the biggest deficit? You know, Kansas fans were saying they never remembered Bill Self being a 10.5-point underdog in any game. Well, Duke wins 78-66. So the Duke bettors end up cashing, even though this was a crazy game where Kansas, I thought, actually played really well. And so I want to take a minute here because to me, listen, credit Duke. They get the win. They're really good. I picked them to go to the Final Four in the preseason, whatever. But at the same time, what I would also say is this. To me, the single biggest takeaway was not about Duke. We know Duke is good. But there has been a lot of talk about Darren Peterson. How healthy is he? The Kansas fans are convinced like he's trying to opt out of the season, load management. He doesn't want to play. I've never really bought that. But what I would say is this. I think the players around him are much better than they get credit for. And I also believe that if you can get Darren Peterson healthy, if you can get him back on the court, I think in a year where the Big 12 is really good but wide open, I actually think Kansas is a Big 12 title contender. So let's go ahead and break it down. First of all, the Darren Peterson stuff. Okay, so if you're a college basketball fan, you've been following this to some degree, but it has been, in defense of Kansas fans, a weird deal, right? Plays early, plays against North Carolina, then he sits out a game. You don't really know what's going on. Then he sits out another game. And I think everybody was kind of under the impression of like, dude, as long as he's back for Duke, we're not going to freak out. Well, not only is he not back for Duke, but before the game, Bill Self says, before the last game that Kansas played. So Kansas last played on Saturday at home. That was against Princeton. Okay, it was against Princeton. I apologize. I thought it was against North Dakota State for some reason. It was against Princeton. They do say that North Dakota State is the Princeton of the middle of North Dakota. Anyway, neither here nor there. Bill Self, before the game, said, it's day-to-day. We hope to have him back soon. And then after the game, completely changed his tune and was like, he could be out a while. So I understand why Kansas fans were frustrated and Kansas fans were confused and Kansas fans were worried. I don't buy the fact that this kid is trying to opt out or whatever. One, Bill Self said after the game on Tuesday against Duke that there really is no reason to rush him back. If he's not 100%, he's not going to give you what you need anyway. All you're doing is risking injury and the team isn't what it's capable of being. But two, it makes no sense because it's not like Darren Peterson is the consensus number one pick in the draft. We all saw AJ DeBonsa against UConn the other night. AJ DeBonsa is going to have moments where you're like, you cannot pass on him at number one. And I think increasingly that second tier is starting to look like a first tier. Mikal Brown Jr., I don't think he's the number one overall pick, but is he 80% of Darren Peterson? And if Darren Peterson isn't playing, does he sneak up? Caleb Wilson is awesome. Chris Sinak Jr., I watched him against Auburn the other day. He's unbelievable. Nate Ament. And so Cam Boozer. And so I just bring it up because, should I throw in another name? I'll stop. But I just bring it up because it's not like Darren Peterson's the consensus number one pick in the draft that he would opt out of the season in freaking November. One, all you're going to do is put up the red flags for NBA teams of either you don't care or you have major injuries that we have to worry about. But then two, conversely, what I would also say is this, is that the draft is so good, you could go from number one pick to number 8 pick really fast. So I think Darren Peterson's coming back. I'll be in Vegas for the Players Era next week. I'm hoping to see Darren Peterson in person. But to me, the story of this game is all of the guys around Darren Peterson. Because when I look at this group, what I see is a team, and I said it on yesterday's show, but I take it to another extreme today. What I see is a team that is not only very capable outside of Darren Peterson, I think the talent around him has been greatly underrated. Okay, so I watched that game. A couple things stand out. One, Flory Badunga much improved. Okay, this was the player. Remember, he was a McDonald's All-American last year. Comes in, struggles. There's a weird week where he enters the transfer portal. Nobody really figured out what was going on there, but had 14.6 rebounds against one of the best forwards he's going to face all year in Cam Boozer. Clearly improved, had a great game the other day. The other guys on this roster can play, though. You look at Trey White, as Matt has pointed out, 22 points in this game. I think it's interesting. Trey White is a guy he's played a ton of college basketball. Started at USC. Goes to Louisville to play for Kenny Payne. Then last year he's at Illinois. Now he's at Kansas. That is a very good college basketball player. Is he going to play 15 years in the NBA? No. But is he an impact player at the college level? Absolutely. I believe I could be mistaken for McDonald's All-American. Melvin Council, really like what he brought to the table on Tuesday night. 15 points. Jay Billis was talking about comparing him to other former Kansas guards, etc. I like what I saw from them. I really did. Also, who else? I like some of the younger guys as well. The Cole Rosario kid who reclassified. I don't know if he's an NBA player next year, but 6'6", 6'7", shoots the crap out of the ball, super athletic. He had an unbelievable dunk in that game. And you're like, oh, that dude's an NBA wing. Might not be today, might not be tomorrow. And I hate to do, and I know he's a Hispanic dude, but does kind of have that Christian Brown feel to him of like, give him to year 2, give him to year 3. I can see the comp. I could see the role that Christian Brown played. I could actually see more of the Ochai Agbaji kind of role of like the dude a year or 2 from now. I think he could be really good. I think he's an NBA player. Like I said, Christian Brown was kind of similar as a freshman. He's way ahead of where Christian Brown was as a freshman. Lastly, I'd say, I know he keeps getting in foul trouble. The kid Bryson Tiller, and I know there's a singer named Bryson Tiller as well. Kid Bryson Tiller is really good. 6'10", shoots the crap out of the ball. He needs to get in the paint a little bit more, needs to do a little bit more around the rim. But I think he's another one. Is like you give him time. This is a guy that's averaging as a redshirt freshman 8.5 points, 5.5 rebounds, shooting 50% from 3. Give him some time. That is an NBA player right there. He is capable of doing the job. And by the way, he's taken 14 threes this year. It's not like he's 1 of 2 from 3. He can shoot the 3. He's whatever. But I just bring it up because if you put Darren Peterson back into that lineup, that is a team that I am here to tell you can compete for the Big 12. Like, you look at the Big 12 right now. Arizona's really good. They go to UConn tonight. We'll preview that game, probably spend 5 minutes at the back end of the show talking about that. But Arizona's really good. I get it. Arizona, do they have that third guy right now behind Koa Pete and Jaden Bradley? They hope it's Braden Burries. We'll find out if it is. BYU, I like a lot. But, what's going on with Kennard Davis? We'll figure that out over the next couple days. If he's not available, is Kansas fundamentally way worse than BYU? I don't see it. Texas Tech, I don't love. I don't really know what they have outside of JT Toppin and to a degree Christian Anderson. And so I just bring it up because, listen, Kansas fans think I don't like them. Kansas fans think I'm whatever. I got to give credit where it's due. Bill Self all offseason said, we like the pieces we have around Darren Peterson. We didn't go heavy in the portal. We went heavy in the portal last year and it didn't work out with AJ Storr and all those guys that we all remember. Well, guess what? Is that if you look at what's going on right now, I just bring it up to say is that, Bill Self right now is looking, and we should have known that the Hall of Fame coach knew what he was talking about. But I just bring it up because you look at it right now. Bill Self was adamant that the pieces around Darren Peterson were really good. And I'm here to tell you, it certainly feels like that. I'm telling you, man, it really feels to me like Kansas can win the Big 12. Got to get Darren Peterson healthy, but I think he's going to get healthy. And I think the other thing, too, is you got to get him healthy in time where you're not at that point worried about, like you can't get him healthy so late that the resume has fallen apart. The good thing is at the Players Era event, you get a couple games that you might be able to win without him. Notre Dame, Syracuse next Monday and Tuesday. And then from there, we'll see who they play. So Kansas, we'll see. I came away more impressed by Kansas than I think, they deserve credit, I guess is the right way to put it.